Steven Stamkos of the Tampa Bay Lightning joining us on 32 Thoughts, the podcast. And first of all, Steven, thanks so much for doing this. Hope you're well. And, one of the toughest things to do in all of sports, no matter what the sport is defend a title. And you guys did that, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. What was Stanley Cup number 2 like for you? Is there that extra layer of satisfaction that, hey, we defended this thing?
Absolutely. I think if you ask the guys and if you ask me individually, you might get some different answers. For me personally, this one was the one for me. Obviously, being in the bubble and not being able to play, coming back for that shift, albeit to be able to contribute a little bit was great, and it was amazing. I mean, we all treated it, as, the championship that it was, myself included, but there's always that little thought in the back of your head, especially as a competitive athlete, is you want to be part of it. You want to be there every day. You want to be contributing. I was doing my best as I could away from the rink, but to kind of just justify everything for me personally, and this is only my thought, was that this year was just really special. Under the circumstances, the fans were back in the stands, the travel was there, the packed rinks in Tampa, having our family there to celebrate. It was just, it felt, amazing to do that. Obviously, if you talk to the other guys, to go back to back and win, I mean, it's amazing. It's tough to choose between the two. They're both amazing feats and something you dream of as an NHL player. But for me, this year was just kind of justification for the hard work that has gone into my career, and to be a part of every single minute was pretty special.
It's funny you say that, because one of your teammates told me after you won the first one that they saw a huge change in you. That, and like that was, I know you didn't get a chance to play a ton, but your goal that night was so special, and seeing you lift the cup was so special, that they said they felt that you, like everything that you had gone through in your career, was validated after that. And they said they saw a big positive change in you. Like all the stresses of trying to win and the injuries you'd been through, and that you're a really nice person, but you're competitive as hell. Like he just said that there were so many people on the team and the organization grateful to see how much you changed after that first cup, because it was almost as if everything you'd gone through had been validated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you start to creep into year 10, 11, 12 of your career, and, especially hockey, I think in of the major sports, like championships mean everything. For whatever reason, good or bad, everyone is judged on, have you won a championship? And like I said, whether that's fair or not, that's to others to judge. But especially after what happened to us against Columbus, after that historic regular season, you're human. You start to have those doubts creep into your head. Like, we've had this amazingly talented team for a couple of years now. We've knocked on the door. Like, is it actually going to be our time? And you don't project those out, but they're in the back of your mind. And so, again, to go on that run and to have a slight part of it, but to actually win, there is that sense of relief for sure. It's like, okay, wow, we finally did it. We have our cup. But the real amazing thing was with that group was, that was just the beginning, and we did it, and we knew how hard it was, and how much effort it took, but there was still that hunger, there was still that burn, because there were people saying, well, it was in the bubble, and there was this, and it was that, and I think that kind of pissed some guys off a little bit. So, there was that fuel to try to defend it. We knew how hard it was going to be, but there was just that sense that whatever happened during the regular season, I mean, we didn't have our best player all year. We didn't care where we finished in the standings as long as we were in the playoffs. We just had that mentality. Let's get back to the playoffs, and we could do it again. And we played some really, really good teams on the way, and it was great. Like I said, for me especially.
Who was the most pissed off guy? Like, who was the person who? Because I think, because honestly, like I think that's crazy. Like I think that bubble title was hard to win.
Yeah.
But who was the most pissed off guy at some?
I don't know if there was one specific guy. I know, talking to some of the veteran guys and Cooch and Hedman and McDonough and those guys, like we didn't view it that way. I don't think any player viewed it that way. I mean, being in there under those conditions, where it was strictly hockey. But you all hear that outside stuff. So, anything that you can use as fuel as an athlete, you try to do, as we all saw in that Last Dance with MJ there. I don't think we're quite on that level of using every little thing as fuel, but there's little things that you use, and that was something, a small part of us, and it certainly helped.
Hearing you talk about that Columbus series, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. I looked at that entire time, and your time in the last 3 years with Tampa, and I kind of think of the Rangers of the early '90s. In '92, they had this breakthrough season that were outstanding. '93, a major step back, and there was a lot of talk about blowing up the team. And some of the veteran guys went to Neil Smith, who was the general manager, and essentially begged, said, "Look, don't blow this up. Don't break this up." And, after that Columbus series at the draft that year, there was crazy talk about, various of your members of your team getting moved, getting traded. This guy's going here, this guy's going there. And it never happened. Did you guys go to management at all and say, "Look, I know this wasn't the result we wanted, but everyone in this room believes in this team, and you need to as well. Don't blow it up"?
No, I mean, not to my knowledge anyways. I think it was just a collective decision from management and ownership, saying, listen, hopefully that's, a one-off type of deal. It's not like we were just kind of emerging. We had gone to the finals in 2015. We had gone to multiple conference finals. It was just, when is it going to happen? Do we need to add some things into the mix? Absolutely. But we didn't need to take away the core, I think. And that was kind of the message from management and the ownership and coaching staff was, we still believe in you guys, and we're not going to do anything. We're going to see this out. Obviously, we added some pretty great pieces, whether it was through free agency or the aggressive trades that Julian made that not a lot of people probably agreed with at the time. But you look how it panned out. So we knew the core was there. We knew we had the goaltending. We knew we had the defense. We added some sandpaper, and we kind of just changed our mentality a little bit. I mean, everyone saw us as a high-flying, skilled Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think we were that team the last 2 years. We were the team that did the little things right in order to win. We still had the offense. We still had the power play. But we played the right way, and that mentality changed, and it started, we talk about that Sweden trip a lot internally, where we went to Sweden and played Buffalo, and we kind of had a week before the game, and it was just the team came together, and you could see a change in certain guys. You could see a change in Cooch. Everyone talks about him yelling at guys to dump the puck in now and play the right way. I mean, there was just something that clicked, and we've seen the results the last 2 years.
That's true. There are other teams that do get annoyed because they say everyone thinks that Tampa is this soft, nice team, but they're a bunch of dirty SOBs on the ice. Like they do. There are other teams who think that you guys get away with things because people think that you're not as nasty as you guys are.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like we get a lot of penalties though too come playoff time. So I mean, it depends what side you are. But I will say for sure, and we felt that change as well. And it was something that needed to happen, especially after you win 62 games, you tie a record for wins in a season, and then you lose 4 straight. Obviously, there's some alarm bells that are going off that need to be addressed, but they were addressed, and nothing drastic happened, and we were able to redeem ourselves, and I think we did more than that. But it's been a great last 2 runs for sure.
Now, Steven, there was a rumor at the end of last year that maybe you were considering retiring. Was that ever a consideration?
I've never heard that. So, no, not even close. I've been through a lot of injuries in my career, but I've always found a way to come back. I may not have come back totally stronger than I was before, but I think if you look at the the production or the ability to get out there and still be, in my mind, a difference maker out there. Certainly maybe not to the level that I was pre some of these injuries in terms of how the body feels. But never in my wildest dreams have I ever thought about retiring.
Okay.
I'm always curious when a team feels like they've got the other team beat. Was there a moment or a game or something in that Stanley Cup final against Montreal where you guys said, we got them, we got this?
I don't think anyone said that out loud. We are a very, very superstitious bunch in Tampa. And it's funny to see, new guys come in and be like, you guys are crazy. Like all the stuff that you guys do before games and the routines and superstitions and stuff. But it's funny because I don't know if it's because we have that, Columbus series swept coming in as the heavy favorites mentality where, you never take anything for granted again. And maybe we learned our lesson with that. Even when we were up 3-0 against Montreal, I mean, there's still that little fear in your head that propels you to not think about that this series is over. It's like, we don't want to give them any life. And they beat us in game 4, maybe a blessing in disguise because we got to go back home and win it in friends and family and the fans. And that was the most amazing experience. But we were genuinely pissed that we lost that game. We had a power play going into overtime. Like, it was just eerily silent in the room after, knowing what we could have done. Now looking back, it would have sucked to win and be stuck in a hotel again. Yeah. So it worked out. But for me anyways, there's always that nervous energy that I think you have to have. Because then if you lose the next game and you're going back to you think about all that stuff, whether you want to or not, it's just human nature. So we didn't take anything for granted this time. We definitely knew that if we played our game, that we had a really good chance. But they were there for a reason. They had a great run, and you never know if Carey got hot or if someone got hot on their team scoring goals. So we just played it like it is, and it worked out.
Does it help when local politicians say, hey, you should throw one to come back to Tampa?
That did not sit well with the guys in our room, that's for sure. And now after, she's like, oh, I told you guys so. So aren't you happy I said that? But she actually apologized. We were making fun of her a little bit after she came and said something to the team after we had won, and we were giving her some grief. But
I would have loved to have heard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you can probably guess who was leading the charge, Pat Maroon there. But it worked out, and it worked out for the city. It worked out for her. It worked out for us. So but I think she said, okay, I've learned my lesson. Because they were playing that clip everywhere in Montreal when we were there, and we're like, oh, man. But
unlike the Canadian media to overreact to something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you, Kucherov, I can't remember. Were you there when he started going off in the press conference at the end?
Yeah, we were. I think it was myself, Killorn, and McDonough were doing our thing, and then Kuch walked in, and and then it was just whatever. How he had no shirt on, he had a couple Bud Lights, he was throwing them to us, and then he did his thing. But it was kind of.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was kind of refreshing at the same time, but I can see how it maybe was misconstrued and didn't look great at the time.
I don't know about that.
I mean, there's some people. I heard there were even some guys on Montreal that weren't too happy about that. So it'll be interesting to see the reaction he gets.
Oh, they're going to chase him around the ice this year.
Yeah, but at the same time, we all loved it in the room. I mean, you don't get to see that side of Cooch too often. It happens maybe 3 times a year. Maybe it happened on that Sweden trip. Maybe it happened after we won last year, and then again after we won this year. So, I mean, that's just Cooch. I mean, he tells it like it is, whether you like it or not. And maybe he doesn't have 4 or 5 or however many Bud Lights in him when he says it most of the time, but he is just, that's him. And it was, again, the media is always asking for guys to show more personality and all that stuff. You got it. So I think it was all harmless fun. Most of it was true. I mean, after we lost game 4 in Montreal, we couldn't leave the rink for like 2.5 hours because there was 30,000 people like partying outside on the streets.
Yeah.
Like we all were pissed we lost. We got our suits back on. We all went on the bus, and the cops were like, you guys, the bus cannot leave the rink. Like you physically can't leave the rink. The streets are packed. So we didn't get back to the hotel till probably 12:30 that night. So, guys were pretty upset about that. And I think that's where kind of the comment is that they thought they won the cup or whatever it was. So.
You know what I'm learning in this interview, I have to say,
that?
Jeff, is that the Tampa Bay Lightning internally might be the league's angriest team. You guys are mad about everything. Can't leave the rink, the mayor, the loss
whatever.
to
Like
Columbus.
maybe MJ was onto something. Use everything you can to fuel you. So
this three-peat, repeating is hard. 3 in a row, and the one thing is that that Gord, Coleman, Goodrow line not being there, and you've made some really interesting signings, Perry, Belmar. I have no doubt, listening to you for the last 15 minutes, that you guys are going to give everything you can to win 3 in a row. How much harder is it going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we said that all last year, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's no way you can win again," and we go out and do it. Absolutely. Are we going to miss that line? No doubt. They were a huge piece of our success, and 2 of the guys that we acquired specifically for those playoff runs, and Goody and Coleman, both amazing players, great guys, and got the contracts they probably deserved after those 2 runs. So as a player, you're just extremely happy. As a friend, you're thrilled that they are able to get that and go on and move on with their career. Obviously would have loved to keep them. We knew we were going to lose a really good forward in the expansion draft after we decided to go the protection package that we did. So Gordo, a heart and soul guy, has been on Tampa for forever, and we're going to miss those guys. Just gelled so good as a line. How they're going to do individually, we'll see, but as a line, they were huge. They played huge minutes for us. They were all 3 amazing penalty killers for us. So for sure it's a big loss, but at the end of the day, you look at the roster and you say, okay, we have Vasilevsky in net, so we have a chance. You have Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, Cernak.
Yeah.
You have Cooch, Point. I mean, the list goes on. Cirelli. I mean, we have our top 6 forwards, our top 4D, and our goaltender coming back. So why can't we do it again? It's going to be, I think, tougher. But then we go out and we add a Belmar, we add a Perry, we add some very, experienced, guys that are proven winners in this league. And, that just goes to show the confidence that the management has in our group to go out and do it again.
What's it going to be like playing with Corey Perry?
Well,
what was it like, by the way, what was it like to play against?
Yeah, no, it's just it's a funny story, right? You play against them in Dallas, you play against them in Montreal. It's like, okay, well, come join us and let's get it done this time together. But I've played with Pears. I've known him for a long time, played with him at different Team Canada events. I mean, he's just, as you've seen the last 2 playoffs, you throw the regular seasons away. Look what he's done in the playoffs. He's a gamer. And, everyone had kind of written him off. I think he started the year in Montreal, like on the taxi squad, right? Like, and then we were saying in our room, he was probably one of their best forwards in the series against us and in the playoffs for them. So as soon as, free agency opened up, we're like, we want Pears. And we tried
to call him?
Yeah, I know him. We were texting him. Patty knows him really well. I mean, I think we tried to get him last year. It didn't work out, cap wise, but we knew we didn't have a ton of room this year either, but if we could try to find a way to get him, that would, knowing that we were going to lose those other guys, that was going to be huge. So yeah, we had some conversations. Julian got it done, and we're really excited about that addition.
Last one for me. One of the things that I was always amazed by, and we still see it. I mean, there's a Globetrotters element of Tampa, specifically when you guys are on the power play. Like when you guys start firing it around, cue sweet Georgia Brown, because that's what it looks like. And I remember talking to John Cooper once about the frustration of seeing your team, as wildly skilled as you guys are, making that one extra pass where you should have taken the shot. I know it still comes out every now and then, but like, how do you rein that in? When you have 5 guys out there on a power play who can just throw it around at will, how do you get the discipline to say, okay, let's take a shot here?
Yeah, I think power play for sure a little different than 5-on-5, and that was maybe our Achilles heel in 5-on-5 in previous years, was always trying to make that extra play. You get a little more leash on the power play, especially when you're on the ice with those guys. But I think we've established that chemistry now. We've had that same power play group for a while, and everyone knows where the next play is going to happen. Cooch usually knows 2 plays ahead. Us maybe 1 play ahead, but we all know when you get the puck in Cooch's hands, everyone else becomes, available and ready. And we saw that. I don't think people realize like how amazing he is on the half wall. And I've played with I played with Marty St. Louis on the half wall, and I've got to play with Cooch on the half wall, and 2 amazing players. But like, I think Cooch could be one of the best all time, like on the half wall. When he has the puck, it's amazing. And he's more of a playmaker. He's got an amazing shot, but he's more of the playmaker. And you have Point in the hole, who plays that position so well. You have Killer down low, who plays that position well. Obviously, I've been on that side for a long time, and Hetty up top. So it just flows. There's really no, yeah, sure, sometimes do we want to make that extra seam pass? Sometimes, but that's what keeps the penalty kill honest too. If you're just blasting it, then, that seam is never available. And sometimes when you try certain plays, it's about puck retrievals. That's what the power play is all about. If you can try certain plays, but know you're going to get the puck back and start tiring out the PK, then those seams, become open. So there's little nuances like that we talk about, and, guys know where each other are going to be if we have a battle, if we have a retrieval, where's the puck going to go next? So you just kind of feed off that, and it's a fun group to be part of.
I think the last thing we should say is we should send a text to Marty St. Louis saying that Stamkos says he sucks on the half wall compared to Kucherov, and see where that goes.
Yeah, see where I think I might get a text after that, but no, but that's the level that Cooch is on, is him and Marty. I mean, I've been fortunate to play with both those guys on the power play. So it's been a treat.
And that release, like, I'll see it sometimes. I'm like, did he even roll his wrists? Like, it was on the blade and then off. Like, it's some crazy stuff. Listen, best of luck going for the three-peat. Tampa's going to be a favorite again. And I look very much forward to seeing your first trip to Montreal.
Yeah.
That'll be a special game. Thanks, Steven.
Yeah, thanks, guys.